everybody, are you ready to jingle your books with us? My name is Desiree Duffy and welcome. This is Jingle Books. Here's the thing, this is the 4th year we've done Jingle Books. There's a lot of holiday stuff going on, a lot of festival things, and we've been doing virtual events here at Black Chateau and Books That Make You now for 4 years. Isn't that amazing? And we have got such an incredible show lined up for you tonight. We're going to have authors joining us. They're going to be reading from their books or maybe sharing some kind of holiday tradition or recipe or something festive with you. And we're also going to give away, oh my God, a whole big old sleigh full of books and other bookish prizes. We have an Amazon gift card worth $25. We have a case of Rise Cold Brew. OMG, is that ever good stuff? Plus, we've got books from all of our amazing authors who are joining us for Jingle Books and more. Also, and this is kind of cool, we have surprise bookish gifts. Yeah, Santa has just wrapped up some books for us. We don't even know what those books are. So all of those prizes are available for you to possibly win. And we're going to be announcing, we're going to draw those winners at the very end of Jingle Books. But right now, I would like to introduce to you A.G. Billig. She is part of the Black Chateau team, as well as Books That Make You. She's an author in her own right. She has done radio and TV. She's been a journalist. She is one of those people that does and knows everything. How are you?
Hi, thank you. It's such a joy. This is the best way to start Christmas. And you know, like we were talking the other day, with this party going on now, we can say that the Christmas season has officially begun. So thank you for having me here. It's a great pleasure to be with you and all these amazing authors and of course our viewers. And yeah, this is a tradition for Black Chateau already. And we have to tell our viewers that actually this is the first year we are doing it this way. So this is going to be a live event for 2 hours straight. You're going to interact with our amazing guests live. So don't hesitate to go to our Facebook page, to the Books That Make You page. We have an event created there. So ask all the questions you want. They promise they will stay around a little longer after we finish our interview or they finish presenting what they prepare for you today. So make sure you stick around and interact with them and share your thoughts about Christmas and about the books you love.
Excellent, excellent. And if anybody has any issues with Facebook, I mean, we all know and love Facebook. We also are streaming on our YouTube channel as well. So if there's any issues, just pop on over to Books That Make You on YouTube because the stream is activated there as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, and as Desiree said, stay with us till the end because maybe you are one of the winners. So
yes. And we can really quickly go over the lineup of the authors if you want, because we've got just some stunning authors as well as excellent books. We have Bert Sarkinen with us tonight. He is the author of Hybrid Timber Framing, and he's from Arrow Timber. He's going to be joining us, as well as Patrice Brown. She is the author of A Fat Girl's Guide to Confidence. We have Janet Brill. Dr. Janet Brill has written a book about intermittent fasting. It's intermittent fasting for dummies. Honestly, I don't think I'm much of a dummy, but when I read it, I was just like, oh, wow, cool. I didn't realize the health benefits with that. So she's going to be joining us. Sherwin Koifman is about surviving remote work, which so many of us are doing nowadays, right? He'll be with us. Larn Varnador, he's a legend, sci-fi kind of noir, dark thrillers in space. He's going to be with us, as well as Amy Lee Murphy. Her debut YA novel, Fine, is just mind-blowing. It is just so inspiring, and it just takes you right back to those days when you were a teenager or a young adult yourself. We've also got Stephen Joseph with us. His forthcoming book is The Adult Guide to Crankiness. Basically, Stephen is going to tell you that you should embrace your crankiness. We've also got Kevin Groh with us. He is the author of the Omni Legends series, and his first book, The Commander, is actually coming out in the United States for the first time in January. And we've also got Edgar Scott. His forthcoming book, 418, I Am a Teapot, is going to be blowing people away in January as well. And I think that's everybody, right, AG? That's everybody that we've got on the line?
Yeah, I think, yeah, we've got everybody.
Of course, AG, there's you. So you are an author in your own right. Why don't you really quickly just let us know a little bit about some of the books that you've written?
Well, I have two of them here, so I can show them really quick. So this is my favorite. I Choose Love. A Journey from Fear to Love is based on my own journey and on my own experience. And I think this is a time where, especially during holidays, but with what happened in 2020, this is the right time for us to go into that space of love and living our lives from that space, no matter what happens around us. Because I think love is the only thing that can unite us instead of dividing us. And I know Dr. Janet Brill has something to say about it in our interview we're going to do a little bit later. So that's
yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully too, with 2021 right around the corner, it kind of feels like right now that we're in a transition.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's hopeful. I feel more hopeful now than I felt in probably the last 10 months. And it seems like everybody is on that same page too, or a lot of people, I should say, are on that same page. There's just a lot of changes. There's a lot of good coming our way, I feel. So here's to a fantastic and a positive and a 2021 where we can choose love, right, AG?
Yeah, that's wonderful. That gave me the goosebumps. Yeah, let's do that. And let's say hello to all the people who already joined us. I can see here the comments coming in. We have people from all over the United States. So hello Texas, hello Delaware, hello California, hello Oklahoma, hello everybody, and thank you for being here. This does feel like a real celebration because, as I said, now we can see, we can interact with you in real time. So this is really amazing, and this is one of the miracles of technology. I don't know how would we have coped with this year 2020 if we didn't have this miracle called technology that brought us together.
That's true. The way it connects us, and people can ask questions as well. Like you can ask questions. AG's keeping track of everything, and I should give a shout out to Sadi, who's standing by. She's monitoring social media, so she'll be helping make sure that AG sees relevant questions, as well as Bree is standing by. She's our contest master, so she's helping out behind the scenes, as well. Dave Duffy, he's our tech guy. He kind of helps set up a lot of this stuff too. So it's a team effort. I just wanted to give a shout out really quick and a big thank you to everybody on the team for making Jingle Books the celebration that it is. And don't forget, again, if you have questions or if you want to say something, this is interactive. You can ask questions and we'll facilitate that for you.
And thank you, Desiree Duffy, for coming up with this amazing idea. You have all these amazing ideas that bring authors and readers together. And this is something that authors, especially independent authors, need so much nowadays, and they need reviews. So if you, dear viewers, dear participants, our friends, our family, are reading the books, are going to read the books of our authors tonight, which I'm sure you will do. If you love their book, make sure you leave a review because this really matters.
That's like the best Christmas gift.
Yes, indeed.
For an author, right? When you read a book. And here's the thing too, like we're all, looking for gifts for the holidays for friends and family. Books make the most perfect gifts. So hopefully you're stocking not only your own stocking, stuffing your own stocking, but think about some of the other people on your gift list. And that's the cool thing about that variety of authors and books that we have with us. There really is something for everybody. So don't forget that another great way to not only support the authors that are going to be with you tonight for Jingle Books, but just authors in general, creative people in general. Take a moment and maybe get something that's a little bit unique for somebody. on your gift list. I think they'll appreciate it. And then that way you know too that you're possibly helping somebody who's creative or an indie author or somebody that's just starting out as an author or creative. It's a great, great way to kind of give both ways.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. So I'm sure from the positive response we are already getting that this is going to happen. We got people from Canada with us tonight. Morel, hello, North Carolina, South Carolina, San Diego. Whoa, wow. Wow, this is mind-blowing.
We're global. We're global.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, well, I think you've got Dr. Janet up next.
Yes, our first guest.
I'm going to be getting out of here, and I'll let you guys take it over.
Okay, thank you, Desiree. I know you will stay with us, so maybe we'll connect together. We'll connect again towards the end of the show to announce the winners and wish everybody happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
You bet.
Okay, thank you, and I'll see you again soon. So now just give me one moment. I know you are excited, but just give me one moment to introduce you properly, Dr. Janet Bond-Briel, because she's not only a brilliant writer, she's such a complex and beautiful personality. She's accomplished so much in her life. I won't talk just about her appearances on Dr. Oz shows, at CBS, on the couch, and being a nutrition expert for the Balancing Act Lifetime, but she completed 4 marathons and countless road races and many for charitable organizations. And she also volunteers much of her time, expertise, and funds in support of the American Heart Association. And she's a trusted source of information for the national media and a frequent guest expert on local and national television, as I said. So without much further ado, because I know you're dying to see her and hearing her tonight, hello, Dr. Janet Briel, and welcome. Thank you for joining our celebration.
Oh, thank you for having me. Such a pleasure, and happy holidays to everyone out there.
Happy holidays! I see you already. In the holiday mood, holiday spirit.
As much as I can be, yes.
Yeah. So I was going to. I know that you have a great topic you want to share with our viewers tonight. But before introducing that topic, and also I want to talk a little bit about your book, which Desiree mentioned earlier, and which you released earlier this year. I want to ask you, what did you do this year? What helped you to get into this Hollywood Christmas mood, despite everything that's happening around us?
Well, I'm sure that everyone can agree with me that it's been the worst year ever. So I feel like this was a blessing, just to make lemonade out of lemons, because when the pandemic started is when my literary agent asked me if I would be interested in writing a book, a dummies book, which I've never done, about intermittent fasting. And I said, intermittent fasting, I had just read, I'm a scientist, and I had just read the New England Journal of Medicine had come out with a review article in December of 2019, touting all the incredible benefits, the health benefits of intermittent fasting. So I jumped at the chance because it gave me something to do, and I'm fascinated with the topic. So I spent most of the pandemic at my computer, writing and researching, which really helped my mental health and helped me to get through this horrible year as the same person. So that's really where this whole book came about.
I know this year, as horrible as it's been an opportunity for many people to kind of go inward and look at their lives and look at who they really are, and maybe, follow their passions and find out new things that they would like to do. So in that regard, I think it's been an opportunity, and your story shows that you embrace it.
Yes, and I practiced, I tried it on myself, the guinea pig that I am. And so I just am passionate about this topic now. And I'm just really thrilled that I was given the opportunity to write this book.
Yeah, and I know that it is really well received, and you've got good sales, good reviews. So people really appreciate your the time and effort you put into writing this book.
I hope so.
For sure, I can tell for the reactions. This fasting, this the food isn't something it's something important for us. And I think when we think about our lives and who we are, we need to think about our bodies, our mind, our spirit. And this is such a complex issue that brings us to our topic tonight: a new year, a new you.
Well, first I want to say that I loved what Desiree said about the feeling of hope. And so, we're all starting to feel that. So that's why I wanted to move past 2020 and talk about 2021 to make it a wonderful year and the year for health and happiness and better health. That means to work on yourself, and that means eating a healthy diet. That means exercising. That means taking care of you. Because this past year, I think a lot of people can agree that it was very difficult to take care of us in all ways. So my one thing that I talk about in my book, what makes it different from other intermittent fasting books is, first of all, I made it quite simple. So I took the 5 most popular ways of practicing intermittent fasting and wrote about each one of them and gave an easy to follow guideline. But what I also did is, intermittent fasting is basically it tells you when to eat, not what to eat. So, and if you look on the internet, you'll be bombarded with a million different ways to practice it. Being a researcher, a nutrition researcher, and a nutritionist and a heart health expert, I feel very strongly that the best diet to combine with intermittent fasting is a plant-based, whole foods, Mediterranean style diet, as opposed to a ketogenic diet, which is very commonly practiced, but is not good for your health. So my thing is, do intermittent fasting. It's a 3-pronged approach to health that I hope people will take advantage of in the new year. Eat healthy, plant-based diet. Combine that with a program of intermittent fasting that you can do, and then get in some daily exercise. Put all those 3 together, which have all been scientifically proven to promote good health, and you'll be on your way to a happier, healthier you.
We have a question coming in from Natalia, and she wants to know, what would you suggest people who say they cannot keep with the fasting? They think is very complicated. It is very complicated.
Well, it's actually quite simple, and I simplify it in my book because it's basically just kind of have eating windows and then not eating windows. So I make it easier to understand, and there's different types. So a lot of people, I like people to think of it as a lifestyle, not a diet that you go on and on. Like I intend to eat this way the rest of my life because I feel I have more energy. But it takes some getting used to. So yes, in that regard, it's not simple. You have to kind of train yourself. It takes about a month to get used to get over the hunger, being hungry or worried about hunger or fear of hunger. And then your body kind of gets used to it. There's a lot of things that you can do that I talk about in the book to help you stick to the fast. And then you choose, there's easier intermittent fast and then there's more hardcore. So you actually choose the one that works for your lifestyle.
When you wrote this book, did you have a certain type of audience in mind, or a certain type of people? Is intermittent fasting good only for some people?
It's good for certainly all healthy people that have already been diagnosed with disease such as diabetes, heart disease, and that are taking medications that require that they be taken with food. Those type of people can intermittent fast, but they have to do it under the watchful eye of their personal physician. But most healthy people can do it. It's been in the science, which is what I like. The data has shown that it's very safe and very effective.
So yeah, this is the kind of book I love when it comes to the one you wrote, Dr. Janet Brill, the kind of book I love in this self-help realm, because it combines your scientific background and your scientific research with your own experience. I mean, you wrote a book after you tried several
Absolutely.
ways, yeah, and then you're able
I
to.
always do that. I always try out what I'm going to write about just to make sure that it's doable, because I'm a very practical person, and I figure if I can do it, anybody can.
That's funny. You know, you mentioned heart conditions, health conditions such as diabetes, because we actually got two questions about this topic. So one of that was how do diabetics follow your diet, and I think you already kind of answered this.
Well, there are two types of diabetics. There's the type 2, and then there's type 1. And if you're insulin dependent, which is typically type 1, then you have to be extremely cautious with intermittent fasting, because there's a risk of hypoglycemia. So all diabetics, diagnosed diabetics, should be working with their endocrinologist, their personal physician, and nutritionist, and they can practice intermittent fasting, which actually has been shown to be quite helpful. It decreases insulin resistance, which is a very common problem with diabetics. It decreases inflammation. It does all these wonderful things for your heart. And diabetics are extremely prone to developing heart disease and dying of heart disease. So it can be done. It should be practiced by diabetics, but again, with their personal physician's guidance.
So it is possible. So this helps us end this segment of our conversation on a positive note. So basically, intermittent fasting is for everyone, and it has like so many benefits. And I think one of the benefits is also not just the way you look and the body feels, but I know that the food we eat and our eating habits also influence our mental and emotional well-being. So
absolutely, and it's part of the whole big picture of health, mental health, physical health, exercising, doing stress management, and which is part of this. And another really fascinating aspect of intermittent fasting is it triggers what's called autophagy, which is almost like cellular rejuvenation. It's basically like the fountain of youth. So in terms of longevity, there's been a lot of excitement in the scientific world about the potential for anti-aging and all kinds of wonderful things, aside from weight loss and belly fat loss, which is the dangerous body fat. So it's really something that people should look into for becoming a healthier human being.
So if you want to enjoy like a really nice and really big Christmas meal, then you can start this after Christmas, like start the new year with this new diet.
The beauty of it is that you feast now, but then you fast, or you fast first and then you feast then. So that's why people love this, because it's not as restrictive as regular old-fashioned kind of diets where you can't eat your favorite foods. Here, I think it's very helpful for people because they know that it's a very short-term fast, so that they can eat soon and they can eat some of their favorite foods, not in great quantities, but the whole concept of no deprivation and freedom of eating is where I think the major attraction is. That and weight loss, of course.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. And I already know that our friends here with us tonight, they want to know where they can find your book, where they can find you. So please tell us.
Well, my book, of course, is on Amazon, but it's also on my website, drjanet.com, drjanet.com. Has all my books. And then I have a second website that's focused purely on the Mediterranean diet, and that's mediterraneannutritionist.com.
And because we only have 2 hours today for Jingle Books of Desiree, maybe next year we can do it for longer. Please give us a final thought some inspirational thought for 2021 to stay
Okay,
with us.
let's make 2020, instead of moving on, the year of hope, the year of health, make it all about you, and make it a wonderful year filled with love and happiness and good health.
Thank you, Dr. Janet Briel, for being with us today. We wish you happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Holidays. Happy New Year.
And I know you're on the other coast, so I hope you can stay with us a little longer. I see more questions coming in for you on our Facebook page. So thank you again, and have a beautiful Christmas celebration.
You too.
Thank you. And now we are going to go to our next guest. So let me introduce him to you. I don't know, this just happened. So I mentioned before that Dr. Janet Briel, she runs marathons. Well, our next guest, he is also a marathon runner. He is actually a 5-time Boston Marathon runner and a 16-time New York City Marathon runner. And he turned author at some point in his life. And he's also a first-generation American, son of a Holocaust survivor, attorney, negotiator, speaker, fully cured overweight person, a humorist who has spent 28 years as a partner with therapists, a lifetime of struggling at countless synagogues, many years sitting on a cushion staring at a white wall at the village Sendo, but is a person who is still smart enough to know he hasn't figured everything out except for crankiness. So without much further ado, let me bring with us here Stephen Joseph, and he figured out how to write amazing books.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Stephen. It's good to see you again. It's great to have you here with us today. So as Desiree said in the introduction, you have a new book coming up. And
yes, I do. Well, first of all, I have the first book is my dinosaur book. It's the last surviving dinosaur, the Tyrannosaurus. And it's a story how all humans evolved from the Tyrannosaurus and the Tyrannosaurus. And that's why we're all naturally cranky. One of the reviewers who wrote the book, or who reviewed this book, said, I didn't talk enough about overcoming crankiness. And the whole point was to embrace our crankiness. And that made me write this book, A Grown-Up Guide to Effective Crankiness, the Crankosaurus Method. So it's 41 chapters, and it talks about all different ways how to embrace our crankiness and make everyone a lot more happier by being cranky.
When I first read the title of your book, Effective Crankiness, it was kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around this notion of effective crankiness. Can crankiness be effective? Can you enlighten us on this topic?
Well, I explain in the beginning of my book So I imagine if I was at your home and I'm saying, I'm not feeling well, I think I need to go to the bathroom. And you're saying, do you have to throw up? And I would say, where's the bathroom? And you would say, no, Steve, you're standing on this rug that I got from the Queen of England herself. It was in Buckingham Palace. I insist you do it right on the rug. And by the way, there's a Picasso over there. And if you could get some on the Picasso too, that would be make me so happy. Oh, that would be so good. And the thing is, of course, you would never say that. You would push me into the bathroom right away. How dare I even think about doing it on your rug? But we end up vomiting. That's, I guess, use that word. Our crankiness on each other, people we love. People are more valuable than the rug you got from the Queen of England. So this has different strategies on how to be cranky, because we are all the infection rate is 100%, but how to be cranky in a more effective way, not to be basically hurting each other possibly, and not really getting anywhere.
And I think another problem, at least when I'm cranky, I beat myself up. I say, oh, I shouldn't be cranky. Why am I cranky? So what do we do about that?
Well, so that one of the things I, I make a point about in the book is giving it a name.
Mhm.
There's no name, and even like if someone's depressed, there's name depression. It's not a fun name. So I call your crankiness. I give it a name, Crankosaurus. And saurus is this Yiddish word problems. I have such saurus. Nobody has saurus like I have saurus. And I talk about that in my kids' book. I explain about source. And so it gives it a name. So one of the things I talk about, people always say, you should say how you feel, say what you feel. And people say, oh, I feel angry. And, oh, I feel angry tomorrow. I feel angry now. I feel angry next week. And you think, Steve, you're really good about saying how angry you are. You probably then think, he's good about saying how angry it is, but he's a really angry person. I'm now defined, and I'm thinking I'm an angry person because I'm saying how angry I am all the time. This way, I'm not angry. I have a Crankosaurus, and not only do I have a Crankosaurus, and I call it the common Crankosaurus. So if you have a common cold, you might have 2 or 3 a year, maybe, and the common Crankosaurus, you might have 2 or 3 a day. So it's a very common thing. We give it a name. And it doesn't make us something bad or something that, just that we should try to get rid of. We should just say, okay, I have this. And okay, there's different ways. Do you live, breathe? Do you need some private space? Do you need to, like families getting together and practice sharing their Crankosaurus and to become something more fun? So there's different ways of going about that.
Yeah, and the only way to find out how and to find out more is just to get your books and read them.
That's right.
I know you prepare something for tonight.
This is something. I was actually one of the chapters is called Crankosaurus Hanukkah, and it's Hanukkah, and I thought I was going to read that, but I thought better to rehear something. And I try to make stories fun but still like teach something. And in the book, there's a chapter called "Barking Up the Wrong Tree," Crankosaurus, and it talks about the barkers. It's Woody and his wife Maple and their 2 kids, Birch and Willow. And this is a little continuation of that, but it explains that chapter too. This is called a broken record Crankosaurus. So I'm going to read this to you. So you'll get the drift of where I'm going. My next door neighbors were the Barkers. The Barker family were Woody and Maple and their 2 kids, Birch and Willow. Just like I said, I previously wrote about the Barkers in this book. They used to be the meanest and stingiest people in town. One of them could always be heard saying, "You're barking up the wrong tree." If you ask any of them for a favor, their reply was the same. "You're barking up the wrong tree." However, one day, they all lost their bark. With no bark left in any of the family members, they ultimately referred to Dr. Sylvia Burt, who happened to be a bark up the right tree specialist. After seeing and working with Dr. Burt, they all became the nicest and most generous family in town. The Barkers bark all return. Recently, I met with Woody Barker and asked him about this therapy. He was happy to tell me the whole story. Woody was telling me, "Nobody knows this, but we did not go at first to see Dr. Burt. We were sent to see Dr. Desiree. This doctor was a doctor whose specialty was to work with people to specifically teach them how not to sweat the small stuff. We all go to see this Dr. Desiree, and I bring up an example of one of our family conflicts. I explain how Birch never cleans his room. I would tell him to clean up, and he would snap back, "You're barking up the wrong tree." You know what Dr. Desiree's advice was? Can you believe it? She tells me, "Let Birch's room be in complete disarray." It is okay if Birch leaves his room a mess. She instructed me, do not sweat the small stuff. I gave the doctor a whole speech when I came back for the second session. Doctor, I have lots of problems with your treatment. We all went home, and the first thing I did was check in my garage. I keep all the small stuff in there. None of my small stuff was sweating. I checked the big stuff I keep. None of the big stuff were sweating either. Even if my small stuff did sweat, do you know what happens? When you start piling up all the small stuff, you get one huge pile of big stuff. The other thing is that when I get really annoyed at things, I go work out at the gym. Then I go to the steam room, and then I sweat like a pig. I get a good schwitz. After the good schwitz, I actually feel much better. I like to sweat. Correction, I love to sweat. This therapy does not believe in the pores of the skin opening up for a good schwitz, does not work for me. Last thing, the other day, we went to a favorite Chinese restaurant. For dessert, they gave each of us a fortune cookie. Do you know what the fortune cookie said? I will tell you, do not sweat the small stuff. So we paid you $300 to tell us the exact same thing that we got in the 5-cent fortune cookie. After this disarray fiasco, we finally ended up with Dr. Burt. Dr. Burt pointed out we should not focus on the failure to perform a task like cleaning a room. We get frustrated by that. Rather, we should focus on each of the Barker family members to work on fixing their broken records. Each of us would get a chance to repeat our broken records. We had to say it over and over again. My broken record was, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room. The family response was to say, broken record, broken record, broken record. Dr. Burt then focused each of us to come up with ways to fix each other's broken record. If one family member succeeds in fixing another family's broken record, they get a reward. Of course, it did not go well when we began the therapy. The first thing we all tried to do was tape each other's mouth. Ultimately, we ran out of tape. And then after weeks of work, we started fixing each other's broken records, and then all of our bark came back. Believe it or not, Birch fixed my broken record by cleaning up his room. Once he fixed my broken record, I fixed his broken record. What was that, I asked. A drum kit and some drumming lessons. My eyes rolled. Okay, so it's not perfect, he said. Now, this happens to be an important part of a Crank-It-Saurus practice. We feel that we're not heard. If it leads to Crank-It-Saurus frustration, and the only thing we know how to do is repeat what was not heard, it's still not heard, or it's heard with resentment. This creates more Crank-It-Saurus, the Crank-It-Saurus broken record. However, if we look at each other's Crank-It-Saurus as the broken record, we can start to figure out how to fix the broken record. When everybody works to fix the broken record, everybody gets rewarded. And the thing about not sweating the small stuff, because all the small stuff piled up can become big stuff. With the Crank-It-Saurus method, everything gets treated as the big stuff. The Crank-It-Saurus method is about fixing all those broken records, big and small. So that gives you an idea.
Yeah, thank you.
Of this book.
Yeah, where can we find you, and where can we find your books?
Well, you can find this book is already available on Amazon. This is going to be released officially. You could pre-order it now, but it's going to be available on Amazon on January 19th. And I have one website already. It's www.thelastsurvivingdinosaur.com. And soon to be launched is www.stephenjosephauthor.com.
And please give us a thought for 2021.
Well, if you were ineffectively cranky this year, next year will be the year to be effectively cranky.
Thank you very much, Stephen, for being here with us today. I hope you can stay a little longer with us and answer the comments. We got comments and questions for you. And before I let you go, I just want to say it to tell you that you've got a message saying from one of our friends here participating, saying that she enjoyed your Hansel and Gretel reading. So I was asked to relay this to you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. That Hansel and Gretel, there's a chapter on Hansel and Gretel Crankosaurus in this book. And I expanded on that on YouTube, called them the Gloaters. And it didn't turn out too well because they were the Gloaters. So it's a fun story.
Thank you, Joseph, and have a really, really Merry Christmas.
You
And
too.
we'll see you next time. And now we are going to go to our next guest. Wow, we are bringing you someone special, someone from Europe. He has been on. He was an Amazon Kindle Select All Star in sales every month from August to December in 2019. He's a storyteller, a dreamer, an industrial engineer, and also he is a best-selling author of the epic military sci-fi fantasy series Omni Legends. His name is Kevin Groh, and he is now on a mission to capture the imagination of the American readers with the US version of the Commander, Guardian of the Utopia. So I want to welcome him and thank him for being here with us today. Hi, Kevin. Oh, I can't hear you. So
try that again.
Yeah, now that's perfect. Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, and thank you for joining us. I know it is pretty late in Germany right now.
Yeah, it's almost 4 a.m.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I promise I won't keep it very short. You'll be here with us for the time you promised you'd be, because this is a great opportunity to introduce our friends from around the world who are with us today to your book that's going to release in January, the American edition of the Commander, Guardian of the Utopia. So I'd like you to start by telling us a little bit about this book.
So the basic premise is that a couple of hundred years from now, planet Earth has a problem with overpopulation. So they had to find some way to get people from Earth. So they created some spaceships and founded a new colony on another planet in the next system called Utopia. So Utopia is a planet that's governed by military and corporations. And so you have a very big difference between the rich people, which I call the privileged ones, and the poor, the working class. And the main character, Carter, he's a born son of a privileged pioneer of a tech company. And he's forcibly drafted into military service because humanity is at war with a lizard species that we've met. And so he has to endure the military training and see how the difference is between the life he's used to and basically the hard reality of war and military drill. So this is the real basic premise of the book.
And I want to point out that you created a really charismatic protagonist. So I'd like you to tell us about him because he's a pretty special guy with a really special personality.
Yeah, well, he has a pretty strong moral code, and that's because he was schooled at home by his father. He has read lots of old books. And so when he gets there, he has this idea how things should be, and he's meeting the trainers who are kind of sadistic at times. He has to do the whole training missions that are pretty tough. And also then they have technology that's called, well, I call it upgrades. So people get their limbs or certain characteristics of their physique changed with technology. And that's not always a voluntary process, and there will be the time where he has to face the fact that he's forced to get that, and he somehow has to define, is that okay for me, is it not, how can I defend myself, because it's the military, what can I do against them? And so he has to work with his comrades, with his other recruits, his friends, his enemies, and see how can I survive that. And since he is a person with a strong moral code, despite being a privileged person, who are usually quite the arrogant people, he has to face some pretty unique challenges there.
I want to tell you, dear friends, that Kevin's story and the story of him becoming a writer is as interesting as his novels. Because before the writing, there were the video games. You are passionate about the video games, and it was actually that world that kind of inspired you to start creating your own worlds. But I don't want to tell the story. Please tell us your story.
I came into contact with the first video game when I was 7 years old. And my mother used to tell me that this was the day that I left Earth and life as we know it behind me. So I dived into the video games and into movies and everything that's somehow related to our two distant worlds, superheroes and whatever. Yeah, and I kind of made that my reality. And always I was watching movies and playing all those games, and many things that I saw were not really how I would have done it, how I would have told those stories. And one day I was pretty bored, so I just decided how would I write my story? And I sat down and I drafted my script. And then it took me, I think the first book I ever wrote, that took me about roughly, I'd say, a year to write the whole story. And while writing it, I already had enough ideas to just move on to the next book. Yeah, and after I had 2 books published in Germany, which were just for me, basically, I wanted to have the books in my shelf, cross it off the bucket list. Yeah, then I met my girlfriend, and she read the books. She didn't read them. I read them to her, and then she told me, "Wow, like you have a gift. Why didn't you continue writing?" Because I did have some scripts in my drawer. I never touched them before. And so when she told me, I was like, okay, perhaps I give it another shot, do it a bit more professional, see what happens. Yeah, and by now I have written 13 books and published 8 of them already. So it seems to work.
It seems to work, and I know that you have a whole. I mean, this universe you're creating is enormous. You're planning to create something that equals, or I think, knowing is going to be way bigger and better than what the Marvel Studios are doing, but you're going to do it in writing.
Yeah, I don't think any author has ever done it in this magnitude as the MCU. But yeah, one day maybe things will be on the screen as well, hopefully.
How does inspiration work for you? How do you write these amazing books?
Well, I sat down, I drafted my whole universe, my whole galaxy basically, and then created those characters that I wanted to use, and that already told me how many stories I have to tell, at least one story for each character. And then I play the video games and watch the movies, and I do sports almost every day, and all the time that I have to think, that just it pops up in my head, and I'm writing it down on my cell phone. Sometimes in the middle of the night I just get up, I whip out my cell phone and I note something, and then I put it all into my main major document and try to put it into the stories, create this whole connections between the books. So it's a huge thing. I have this one file which is just enormous with all the character connections and the places and everything, and I add onto it on a daily basis. So it's incredible. I don't have any problems with inspiration there.
Yeah, well, I can tell for someone who's been writing already so many books, and you started not too long ago. So that's really really productive. And as I mentioned earlier, already in Europe, you are a sensation. People love your books. What was the most exciting moment of your career so far?
I actually think it's the whole situation moving to the US market. Because if you just publish books, you're doing it from your desk and you don't have contact to any people whatsoever if you don't want to. Um, and now going to the US, I have those panels, I have those interviews, and that's stuff I never had before. So this is pretty exciting.
And it's going to get even more exciting in January when your book will be officially released. I know now it is available on pre-order on Amazon. So please let us know what is the official release date, and also where can we connect with you.
Well, so the official release date is going to be January 5th. That will be available on Amazon and basically everywhere else you can get books. And yeah, I have a website. It's omni-legends.com. Everything, the books and everything connected to them can be found there. And yeah, the best channel to connect with me is probably Instagram, which is kevin.grow.autor, which is the German version of author. So that's the probably easiest way to get in touch.
And in case you wonder how come that someone born and living in Germany speaks so well English and can write entire novels in English, Kevin is quite a wonder kid in that regard too, because I know you're self-taught, so this is something you're passionate about.
Yeah, family in the US, couple of visits over there, and then just binge watching lots of TV shows in English.
And playing video games, because I think
Certainly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what would be your thought for 2021 you'd like to live with us?
Well, for most of us, I just think it's keep going. It's gonna get better.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Thank you very much, Kevin, for being with us tonight. And we wish you a wonderful Christmas, wonderful holiday celebration. Good night, because it's 4 a.m. Or good morning, maybe. I don't know. And we are looking forward to January 5th, when your book will be officially released. Thank you again for being here with us today. Okay, bye-bye. And now we are going to introduce our next very special guests, like all the guests you are having today with us. Thank you again for joining Jingle Books, a holiday bookish party. Stay with us till the end. If you have questions for our guests, please put them in the Facebook comments, or if you're watching us on YouTube, please write your questions in the comments. We'll do our best to get answers to those questions. And of course, don't forget about our giveaway, our special surprise holiday gifts. We will announce the winner at the end of this event. So our next very special guest is Edgar Scott. Well, I can tell you we have tonight fascinating stories, because all the authors, they have fascinating stories, the way they found their passion for writing books and they became writers. It's absolutely stunning. And Edgar Scott is an example, because he used to be an economist turned computer scientist. And for 20 years, he served as a senior database administrator and development operation team manager in financial, cryptocurrency, and medical industries, as well as with startups. His experience has taught him that people's limited beliefs often keep them prisoners in a life they don't want to live. And these themes resonate in his forthcoming dystopian novel. And there's more. He was born in Houston, he grew up in Canada, and now resides in South Florida. And he has a stunning book coming up, and he is here with us today. You'll see him in just 1 second. And he has a beautiful Christmas tree. Hi, Edgar.
Hello, AG. How are you today?
Welcome. Well, I'm feeling grateful and blessed and joyful to be here with you and all the authors today, and with all our friends from all over the world. It's such a blessing, and it's such a wonderful way to celebrate Christmas.
That is fantastic. Why? You made my life sound so interesting. Why in the world did I leave the wonderful world of computers? Wait, I do know why. 2 a.m. phone call, my pager's going off and I have to fix something and I'm asleep. That's okay. I think that explains it. For anybody who's had to do that, that's enough. Yeah. Last year, oh, sorry.
I just want to know, now it's only inspiration that's waking you up at 2 a.m. when you have to write another page.
I would tell you that that's probably worse because my wife doesn't actually understand inspiration at 2 a.m. Whereas she does understand if the phone is ringing, because by me getting up, it'll stop. But I have to thank her because, last year we were sitting around our house and we went, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'd like to sample a little bit of cold weather. And we flew to Toronto to visit her parents. We just on a whim, and they're very nice people. And they originally came from Minsk, and they now relocated in Canada. And we got to take in some cold weather. We can't do that this year. It's really a shame. And so I'm feeling a little sad about all of that. So what she did, and this is what I have to thank her for, is she's translated an old folk story from Russian and given it to me, and I've read it and went, oh my goodness, you can't say that because it just sounds terrible. And I've cleaned it up a little bit, and that's what I'd like to read to you tonight, because it has nothing to do with my novel, which I'd love to talk about, and I'll do it later.
Yeah.
But let's get on with the story, because I want to get the story in, because it makes me feel good.
Let's do that.
I'm going to read, now my wife is from Minsk, if anybody knows where that is. I'm going to read a story that she calls Father Frost. There's lots of Father Frost stories, but here we go. This is the one that I've got. Once a long time ago, in a village far, far away, an old woman and her daughter, and an old widower and his daughter, they lived, and I messed that up. In this faraway time and place, life was hard, so the old man and the old woman married in order to ease the burdens of their lives. It wasn't a happy marriage, but it was convenient and better than being alone. The old man treated both daughters with love and care, giving what he could, but the old woman, bitten by the frost of jealousy, hated her stepdaughter, whom she feared was growing more and more beautiful each day. Oh, just a moment, I've forgotten my hat. Oh, that's what my problem is. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Bitter, the old woman did everything she could to hurt the old man's daughter, made her do the hardest work, cut wood, carry water, clean the floor, feed the pigs, wash the clothes, anything she could think of. At the same time, she tried to coddle her own indolent daughter, who seemed to do nothing more than count flies by the window. One cold winter day, as the old man left town to go to market, the old woman decided to get rid of her stepdaughter. At twilight, as frost began to nip at the trees, she sent the poor girl into the forest to gather firewood for the next week. The girl pleaded, but the old woman was merciless. In despair, the girl headed out to the forest. As night took hold of the world, it wasn't long until the girl lost her way. The snow was cold and everywhere. Trying to protect herself from the wind, the girl sat down under a fir tree, but it did not help. At her deepest despair, she was certain that death was coming to take her. Just then, she thought she heard something impossible. Someone singing. The wind howled and the cold bit at her. She shuddered and shook, but the singing, it was real. And it was getting closer. It wasn't death. She could not believe it. It was the great winter wizard, Father Frost, carried by snow clouds, white horses, and in his ice sleigh. Father Frost was busy putting the trees to sleep for the winter, covering them in blankets of ice and snow. The frightened girl tried to huddle even tighter under the tree, but Father Frost had noticed her. What was such a young girl doing in his forest at this time of night? Do not be afraid, he asked the girl. He kindly asked the girl how she came to be in his realm. She told him about her stepmother and how she could not come home until she had gathered a week's worth of firewood. Well, Father Frost was shocked. At first he didn't believe it. How could anyone be so cruel? But the forest spirits who had witnessed the girl working day and night told him it was true. Father Frost thought for a moment and then asked the girl if she would like to come and work for him. He could make sure she was warm, and if she did a good job, he'd reward her, though he did warn her he had lots of work to do. Needless to say, the girl agreed. Father Frost helped her to her feet, wrapped her in a warm shawl, which he conjured from the snowstorm, to make sure that she was protected from the cold. He placed her in the ice sleigh, and when she was comfortable and protected from the wind, he bid his charges to carry them home. Despite Father Frost's forest palace being made of ice and snow, the girl kept busy, sweeping the floor, mending clothes, cooking, singing. She was told to give special care to the bed sheets of snow. They had to be properly arranged so the plants and grass of the fields and meadows would grow strong and rich when the spring came to melt the covers. Despite the cold, the girl took great patience with all her chores, and Father Frost was happy with the way that she looked after his winter palace. For the girl, time seemed to pass quickly. So quickly that soon winter would be over, and Father Frost would need to leave. The Maiden of Spring would be there to take over the forest. As much as Father Frost enjoyed her company, he knew it would soon be time to say goodbye to the girl, at least for another year. One morning, as the sun woke Father Frost with early and strengthening golden rays, he decided what he would do. He hitched up his best silver sleigh, the one drawn by his 3 finest white horses. He knew the time had come, so he harnessed the sleigh with fine silver bells to make joyful jingling sounds during the trip back to the village. He gave the girl his best furs and silks so she might dress as befit her bearing. He gave her a trunk not to be opened until she got home. The girl thanked Father Frost for his kindness and bid him a tearful goodbye. The villagers, who had long since thought that the old man's daughter had been lost to the forest in the winter, were all abuzz when a luxurious sleigh pulled by 3 of the whitest horses anyone had ever seen appeared and made its way to the house where the old man lived. Everyone thought she must be some princess, but a princess from some faraway land come to visit the old man? Oh my, what a commotion arose when everyone discovered that it was his long-lost daughter, returned home at last. She told her father all about how Father Frost had saved her from certain death, how she had helped the snow wizard with his caretaking, and how he had rewarded her with the sleigh, horses, and the mysterious trunk. The old man might not have believed, but when the trunk was lifted inside their little home, opened, he could see it was brimming with diamonds, pearls, gold, silver, furs, and silk, all of which seemed bottomless. However, to him, none of it compared to the joy of seeing his daughter once again. Unfortunately, the old woman and her daughter were unmoved by this story. They turned as white as snow and as green with envy, and the old woman decided she knew what to do. The next morning, she gathered food and warm clothes and then ordered her own daughter to go out in the forest and wait under a tree for Father Frost. He couldn't have gotten far. Sure enough, as evening fell, Father Frost, who was checking up on the daytime work of the Maiden of Spring, rode by in his sleigh. Gentle nighttime snow of early spring was beginning to fall, and Father Frost was surprised to see a different girl sitting under the tree. "What are you doing here?" he asked. But to his astonishment, the girl was rude and demanded to be taken to his house immediately. She complained about the cold and how she had to wait all day for him. Father Frost furrowed his brow, but invited the unpleasant girl into his sleigh. Upon arrival at his ice palace, Father Frost asked her if she could sweep the floor and take care of the blankets of snow that he had used. But all she did was whine and complain. He did not like her company and decided to send her home as soon as morning broke. As the sun came up, he told her to be ready to go, but she demanded a sleigh and horses and gifts to take home, and they had to be bigger than what her sister had got. Father Frost smiled. He summoned 3 dark horses, a glass sleigh, and a much bigger and heavier trunk. Later that day, the old woman's daughter rode into the village looking like a queen. Oh, she barely nodded to anyone, as if she'd never met them before. Arriving home, she ordered several of the strongest men from the village to carry her gifts into the house. The old woman was ecstatic. She opened the treasure, commenting on how much bigger the trunk was, how much shinier the diamonds are. Even the pearls were bigger than the ones her stepdaughter had got. As she was digging through the treasure, reveling in their comparative opulence, the beautiful gems began to melt. The heat from the fire. Within minutes, the entire treasure was nothing more than melted water. The old woman and her daughter howled like animals and ran off into the forest. What remained of the sleigh was melting, and the horses, now free, had run off. The old woman and her daughter, full of rage and bitter jealousy, ran into the forest. They were going to find Father Frost and let him have it. The people of the village laughed at them because everyone knew the ice palace was gone. Spring had come. The first flowers and young grass, which the old man's daughter had cared for, were growing in the place where the ice palace once stood. The old woman and her daughter, enraged, ran deeper into the forest. Some people say the wolves must have got them. Others say they went completely mad and are still out there looking for treasures or any sign of Father Frost. As for the old man's daughter, she married a handsome working man, a blacksmith's apprentice. He built them a big new house, which they all could live in. Father Frost's treasures, properly cared for, are enough to last a lifetime and more. And so they all lived happily ever after. Well, that is the end of my story that I absolutely had to read to you. Now I can take my hat off.
No, keep the hat. No, it's fine.
I'll keep my hat on. All right. And so boy, isn't that great to see something from, another culture, a celebration of winter, talking about how, the stewardship of nature, allows us to grow more crops and to have good houses and a good living. It's something that I would like to, I wish it were all true. I hope it is. Those things are good foundational things to work from.
I have to tell you that our friends loved your story and your storytelling. You got a lot of nice comments.
Well, thank you. I certainly enjoyed that. I'm glad to have shared it with you. And that's why we write, is because we want to make up our own stories and we want to share them.
Speaking of our own story and your story, Edgar, is your novel 418 a happy end novel? I know the answer.
Does it have a happy ending?
I know the answer, but
it's ambiguous. You can get to choose multiple endings for the story. And no, it's not a child's story. It's not one of those, go to page 56. No. You could conceive that it's happy. I think it is. In that we are all stuck within, often we are unaware of the trap that we are stuck in, which is our working lives. And that what we are really actually doing is, the analogy of a treadmill is very accurate, where we go to work simply to go back to work again. And I capture that with the way that 418 lives. He takes that to an extreme so that I can show it to you. In the end of that, he simply, he makes certain choices in his life that allow him to have a happy ending. So I think he does.
After I have a question, Edgar. So now that 2020 is almost over, looking at what happened at this year and what could happen in the future, and looking at your book, do you have a deja vu? And I like you to tell us, because I interviewed you in the past and I know what your book is about, but I'd like you to give us a succinct description, especially of your book. Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay. It is a journey from, it is a journey towards freedom from, being virtually tied up, forced, the absolute lack of. and so it's also a journey of spiritual and emotional and rehumanization. Both my characters must rehumanize themselves in order to become free from the economic circumstances that they find themselves in. If they did not do that, they would not be free. That's a necessary first step, is to become a human being again. Otherwise, and so when we look forward at 2021, that's what I wish that people would is be a little more human with people, so that, and not in the, kumbaya sort of way, but be understanding. Let us work together, because when we work together, certainly when we start looking at things like trade and stuff like that, it's always better when you have a larger market. It's always better when you include more people. It's always better when you have more skills. It's always better when you have a bigger team. So my characters have to realize that too. They're in an extreme position where they're super isolated. We can find ourselves in that position too. And the only way they can get out of that is by breaking out of that isolation, and it's a choice. We have to choose it. Now, did want to show you this. People have been asking me. I have a cover.
Yay!
I have a cover. I'm not going to give you the actual photo, but there it is. There's my character. That is 418. Well, one of those guys is 418, and one of them is George. He has a name. It's a simple name. He called himself George. Now the question is which one is the real one and which one is the internet one? I know the answer.
And we'll know the answer.
You'll know the answer
early next year once your book is released.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I can't wait to hear what people have to say about it. I think I've done something. I think I've done something good.
Where can we get updates about the release of your book?
Ah, dear. I'm going to try to get them on my Edgar Scott Wrights site. I really like Instagram. I try to do my stories. Also, I'm Edgar Scott Wrights there. I also am @Scott_Wrights on what's that thing called? The Twitter. Yes, on Twitter. And I'll try to put those things up there. I don't want to say too many things yet because I want it all today. Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And so it could get stale. So I'm just trying to keep things quiet. That's why you are the first people to see, other than the artist who did it.
Thank you.
What it's going to look like.
Thank you for sharing that with us and your beautiful story. And
I hope you enjoyed the story.
Please give us one last thought for 2021.
Yeah. One last thought for 2021. Oh, well, you know what? The sun's coming up tomorrow, and this isolation will melt. We do have to be careful. I mean, a vaccine isn't going to help you if you've already contracted the virus. Continue to do the smart things, continue to do the right things. And you know what? You can be extremely prosperous if you do that. I mean, the best medicine is, of course, don't ever get sick. That's true. So it's coming. It's almost there. I look forward to actually meeting people, not just online, shaking hands. I don't know when we'll do that again. I predict that we will. Fist bumps are great, and I won't turn those down either. But it'll be good, and it'll be soon. And but we've just got to know that the sun is coming up now. The spring is coming, if you would.
Thank you, Edgar Scott, for being here with us today.
Thank you, AG.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays,
Merry Christmas.
And we'll see you again very soon. And
even if you're going to use Zoom, spend time with your family.
For sure, right. Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Thank you, Thank you, Edgar Scott. And because time is time is ticking, and it simply flies when we are in such great company. I'll go to my next guest, with is another special guest of ours, and with another amazing and special story, life story and writing story, and who's also an Amazon best-selling author. His name is Sharon Kaufman, and he's the author of Surviving Remote Work, a book that's an Amazon bestseller, as I said. And imagine that he's a survivor. He survived the dot-com crash. He survived working with outsources that master English like fish mastered riding bicycles. How about that? And he survived building and leading a completely remote business spanning 4 continents with 2 toddlers in the room. Sharon Kaufman didn't survive remote work. He thrived with remote work, and I bet you can't wait to find out how he did it. So I'm going to say hello, Sharon, and thank you for being here with us today. Please, okay, I will unmute you. Okay, or you need to unmute yourself, please. I'm trying to unmute you. Okay, now it's, wait, I'll try again.
Hello.
Now, yes, now I
Every
can
time
hear
that
you.
I was unmuting, you were muting, and I was unmuting. It was so
Don't
happy
do it at the
to
same
be here.
time. Hi, Sharon. It's great to have you here with us today, and congratulations for your book. It was released.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute. I hope it is as much of a pleasure to read it as for me was to write it, because it was
So,
literally drained into the book, everything that I knew, and almost my life story, even if it's a business book.
so you are an entrepreneur and a survivor. And before talking about how you wrote your book and about what's in the book that people need to know, what helped you navigate those challenges in your life, which you survived, like the dot-com crash and taking a different road?
Well, so first of all, the surviving aspect is almost ironic in a way, because I like to think that I have not survived as much as I thrived.
Mm-hmm.
In this world of remote, I did grind through businesses by making a lot of mistakes. I truly believe that you grow by mistakes, and whether it was the dot-com crash, it was my 2 previous businesses before, and all the challenges. This for me is how I survived in business, but really is about thriving.
So what exactly in that environment gave you that that push, that impulse to thrive?
Oh, what gave me the push? I don't know, success, happiness, living a happy, independent life, financially free, and doing whatever I want to do is always a good start.
And here, when I introduced you, I said that you managed to thrive with 2 toddlers in the room. And I know, especially now this year, many parents have this, let's say, issue, because the schools were closed, so the kids were home all day long. The parents were forced to work from home, and this is a situation that's not going to end very time soon. So, what is your secret? How did you manage to do that?
What is the secret? Well, first of all, if the key is always the discussion when you're working, whether with kids or without, is all about maximizing productivity. It's all about the ability to do more for less time. And when your kids are with you hanging out, you have more limited time, and all you can ask is for distracted, undisturbed time of work. So if my wife is also a businesswoman, so we actually go and say, look, I need 6 hours, and you take the other 6 hours. And for that amount of time, let me work without getting distracted. I mean, research shows that in an office environment, for example, an average worker produces about 2 hours and 53 minutes. So if I can produce 4 to 6 hours, I'm doing really well. And this is a start. The focus is undistracted work for as long as you can. Now I also enjoy them distracting me and giving me hugs and kisses and all of that, and that gives me super energy to work some more, right? Because it is, with no question, my fun. I'm a stay-home daddy, right? This is running a 40-employee company. It's part of the fun. That's what the remote gives me the ability to do.
And then at some point you said, I need to share this with the world and I will write a book. What was your intention? What was your vision for this book?
Look, it's COVID. This is so people are getting into this depressed. They've been forced to go from home, and I've been doing this for about 18 years, working from home, running real companies with not some affiliate program or anything, real products, many employees, hard work across the world, and working from home. And when you approach this new experience of working from home, you shouldn't approach this with, oh my God, I'm forced into this. You should be approaching this, oh my God, this is an opportunity like I've never had before. If you have that mentality, you will be more productive, you'll be more successful, you will enjoy your life more, and you will know how to deal with the things that are missing in your life when you're working remote. So it really has a lot to do with attitude, and I want to show people that they can succeed being remote.
How about those people who run the business? Because I know in your book you also talk about how you can, even with remote work, how you can cultivate and strengthen the organization culture and make people feel they belong to that organization and connect with each other.
Well, the question is really how to maintain proper culture when you have employees that are not located at home. And first of all, even before you think about culture, you have to think about the mental health of your employees, because they're being sent home, and for many of them for the first time. And while part of my revolution is that working remote is working happier, it's more independent. When you do this for the first time, this could be scary for many people. And if you're just leaving your employees to fight on their own without giving them the hardware, without the infrastructure, the ideas, how to thrive in a remote environment, they will fail and your company will get damaged. Right. So that is the important thing, is that you actually, by getting more intimate with your clients, start getting to know them on a personal level, will give you the ability to see at what stage they are, to see if they're burned out, if they're zoomed out, if they're not feeling well. So that's the number one thing that you should be paying attention to as a manager. After that, focusing on culture comes with the goal of figuring out how to get your employees connected to one another and connected to the company. When we talk about culture, we always think about parties and happy hour, and you see in Google people playing ping pong and sitting on beanbags, but that boosts your ego as much as you need. But the question is, does that connect? I connect with my employees by actually hanging out with them one by one, and we have this little app called Donut that forces people, random people in my company, to hang out with each other for 15 minutes and to get to know each other. And that's how we create culture. We get we hang out and we start, and of course we play games. We do have those drinks, Zoom drinks. They're a lot of fun, but it also first comes by getting intimate with your team on a personal level with each one.
The wonderful thing about your book is that it is a great read both for people who own a business, but also for people who are employees and work remote. So each one of these segments will find nuggets of wisdom and advice that will help them go through this time of our lives where remote work is becoming more common. So in that regard, this is also a really unique book. I know you have.
It's not just that. It also gives you the remote. It gives the remote managers and the remote bosses a more insight into the remote workers, and for the remote workers, the ability to get promoted and to be managers or even bosses. Right. So both sections should be read by the other party.
When we had our pre-interview, I know you mentioned you were working on something. You're preparing something.
I am working. I'm working on the second book, a political book. For now, it's a little bit on the hush hush. But yes, I got the once I started writing this book, I got the writing bug. This is just the beginning. I'm hoping to be an author for a long time, as long as running a company gives me the time to do it. But yes, there's no question about it. The next year or so, there will be a second book coming out. Very different topic about politics and about Middle Eastern conflict and another topic that I'm quite an expert on.
Are there any similarities between running a business and writing a book that you can think of?
Wow.
That was a surprise question for today.
So there's one. It's a nice question. There's one, and it is a question of productivity and distraction, right? The everything that taught me on how to be productive in when I'm sitting at home, I'm sitting by myself, so nobody's looking at my computer, nobody is paying attention. So one of the best advice that I give people is take on the hardest task first. Being those tools of being able to be productive and distraction free very much appeal to the writer. They're even more appeal to the writer because the writer is all about finding distraction-free working environments in order to get into the groove. You know what they say, you need to start typing before you get out of your block so you can get into the writing mode. If you get distracted, if you can figure out how to create projects in chunks, you're going to have a much more challenging time being a writer.
We have a question from one of our friends watching this party now. My team is all remote now. What do you think is still the biggest challenge?
I repeat the question again. I was too busy partying.
Yeah. My team is all remote now. What do you think is still the biggest challenge?
So the biggest challenge, in my opinion, right now is mental health. Mm-hmm. Right? Is the mental health of the individual. I don't think that if you take on small, easy steps, if you implement proper technology, if you replicate the positive things that are happening in your office, in my opinion, you're not going to have a hard time going remote. And research shows people are going to be more productive. There's going to be a lot more input, and in the long run, they're going to be happier. The challenge that you need to deal with right now, immediately, is making sure that they're sane, that they are happy, that they're feeling well, and give them as much input as possible. How to still be sane and happy and productive and not burned out in a remote environment.
Well, thank you, Sharon. This is so helpful, and for sure, if people, our friends here, they want to learn all the secrets and how they thrive in this environment, they definitely need to get your book, the Amazon bestseller.
I even brought a screen and just to show myself. Ooh, that doesn't look good in this light.
Well, we will. You will find.
Okay,
We will.
that was the. Go ahead, sorry.
We will put the link to the book in the Facebook comments. It's on Amazon. You can just type the title "Surviving Remote Work," Sharon Copeland, and you will find it. Where can we find you? Otherwise, where can we connect with you? Where can your fans send you messages?
You can always send me at sharon@distantjob.com. Right, I'm available there. You can also see our podcast and our blog, and then we are all about remote, and we're sinking deeper into this. We're trying to give people as much information as possible about remote because the need is there, and we're here to provide what we can.
Yeah, and you have a lot to provide, and you're helping us a lot. So thank you. Give us one thought, one inspirational thought for 2021, Sharon.
One inspirational thought. The world has created this image, right, through the Industrial Revolution till today, that being productive, that working, even creating your social experience, you must go to the office. This is false, right? And I know it's hard to transition from that world, but what COVID, the positive thing that COVID has done, not a lot COVID has done positive, but one of those things is give the opportunity to people to get their feet wet in that remote experience. If a world will transition to remote, and it slowly, in my opinion, will, there will be more infrastructure for people to be successful and happy and still have an incredible social life and happy hours and lunch with people in the near future. So there's so much to look forward to. Our life with it is more productive, better mental health, and longevity. So that's what I'm excited about.
Thank you, and this makes us excited too. So, happy holidays! Have a wonderful New Year.
Thank you. Happy Hanukkah for anybody who's. We're already celebrating on the third candle, and happy holidays for anybody who's not celebrating. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you, Sharon, and congratulations for your book and for your Amazon best-selling ranking. And see you next time.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, you too. And stay with us because we have more wonderful, amazing authors joining us. We'll announce the winner of our big giveaway and other surprise holiday gifts to the end of this party. But now let me introduce you a visionary. He is a visionary, and of course, he's a writer. He wouldn't be here otherwise, but he's so much more than that. He's a visionary, he's a leader, teaching the craft of timber framing to others, as well as instilling them years of expertise as an ally to help them succeed. And he's the founder of Arrow Timber and the author of The Art of Hybrid Timber Framing, releasing as a second edition in January 2021. This is an amazing book, and I'm going to say hello and welcome. Thank you for being here with us today, Bert.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear very well.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, AJ.
And I don't want to tell more about the book. I'd rather have you tell our friends what inspired you to write the book and why this book is so important.
Okay, so timber framing is an age-old craft that started all over the world about the same time, 2,000-3,000 years ago. Okay, so we came out of caves and learned how to lean sticks together as a start for like teepees, and it evolved from there. And of course, nails were not readily available, so people figured out how to use wood pegs to connect post and beam structures. Where it really developed the most was in Europe, but the Chinese developed it, the Scandinavians did. Anyway, the craft died out with the invention of three things, And it was right after the Industrial Revolution or during with the Wild West expansion. And so the three things that killed timber framing as a craft. Do you care to hazard a guess, AJ?
No.
So one was steam power sawmills.
How interesting.
Another was railroads, because now that wood could be transported.
Mm-hmm.
And another was mass production of nails. So with that, that's where these boom towns came through the Wild West, and that was the genesis of platform framing. The conventional stud wall framing we know today with the joists and so on and so forth. So timber framing kind of died out, and it's got a revival in the 70s, and I was introduced to it in 2002. So the revival had been well along at this time. And so really what is happening today is not full timber framing where everything is done with the mortise and tenon and the old school ways of doing things, but it's a combination of the Wild West and the old timber framing. It's called hybrid timber framing. So that's kind of what we do, and it's morphed into art on a big scale with big beams, arches, and we've developed kind of a system to fit personalities.
Mm-hmm. That's
the reason we wrote the book was kind of to do that. So there's two ways I can describe why we wrote the book. Okay. So first is we've kind of joked internally in the office and with the guys that, hey, we are the sworn enemies of ugly.
okay.
Ugly waste. Okay. And that could fill a book. Ugly
For
waste
sure.
occurs in our thinking, occurs in our actions, our communication, foggy thinking, chasing bright, shiny objects. So that's kind of a general abstract, fighting ugly waste. And from another way to describe it is achieving optimized beauty that fits your personality. And so we've got a style quiz on the website, and Desiree took the style quiz. But judging by her name, how she smiled, how she talked, I knew where she was going, and she scored super heavy in the areas that I predicted before she took the quiz. So we've kind of developed a little, let's say, Ouija board for this kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the reason for the book, is to really avoid ugly waste, help people avoid ugly waste, specifically with timber framing. But we also kind of talk generalities because you need that to draw back and keep the big picture bright. If you're going to build a home, you can invest a lot of money in that. So these principles, we really would love it if people read the book, not even use our services, and keep their big picture bright and get long-term happiness through it. That might be the driving factor.
So basically, anyone who wants to beautify their life by beautifying their home, they should take a look at your book and apply what's in your book.
It's a great summary, AJ, provided they're not particularly adverse to a little bit of navel gazing.
I want to talk a little bit about your story because, as I said earlier, everybody here tonight has an amazing life story, and it's interesting how your passion for timber showed up into your life. You were a teenager. You were 16. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So real succinctly, I'm the son of a carpenter. I had worked at a farm just before I got turned 16 as a right next door, and kind of learned, the values of chugging and persevering through hard, dirty work. But got to start doing conventional framing with my father. Eventually worked for a few different people doing different things to kind of get rounded experience, and then started my own company, framing. And then in 2002, as I had mentioned, a client asked me to do some timber framing. And I said, well, what's that? And he kind of waved his arms and talked and said, well, let me check it out. And so I did go to the library that night, found some books on it, and fell in love with it. so we did some things there, and then once you're aware of things, now you have opportunity, right? Now you
Right.
see opportunity. And so that magnetic attraction started and has continued.
Has continued. So how did people's reaction and appeal to timber framing change over the course of your career since you started until now? Are now people more into it, more open? They understand how they can use it to make their homes better?
That's a question that I don't know if I'm qualified to answer. I guess I can answer from my perspective, but
Sure.
but just that. So are you a connoisseur of anything? Is there anything you just really love, AJ? Is it coffee? Is it wine? Is it chocolate? What are some things that you really spend some extra money on to get the best of the best? What is that?
Books.
Books. Okay. So in judging a good book, and books may not quite be, books tend to be priced all about the same. So can you give me another one that some can be more of a commodity, and you can go with Lipton's green tea, or you can go with Starbucks, or you can go with a $high blend of coffee,
Yeah, probably coffee. Like choose between Starbucks and like a really specialty coffee.
Sure.
I think that.
Okay, so that's a great example. So if we're using that, so there was one time I was with a couple close friends, and one friend was building a home and they were going to put some timbers in back. And he kind of had sidled around our company because we have put out timber art and it looks expensive. And for some people, it really is expensive. Others say, oh, is that all? But a lot of people say, ooh, boy, that's a hefty price tag. Anyway, so he hadn't contacted me, but he was talking about building this home. And he says, yeah, I told my builder, he says, I don't want no Bert Sarkinen $50,000 truss back there. And we all laughed about it. And as a response, I said, hey, I'm just going to email you an article we've written. We've seen this happen to people before. It's called Avoid the Hail Mary Approach to Timber Framing. Avoid the Hail Mary approach. And that's, doing the thing and throwing the football up, right?
Right.
And so that perked their interest. And so I sent both friends this article, and the one friend who was against the $50,000 Bert Sarkinen trust, he eventually came in for a brainstorm. We were able to educate him on what poor coffee and good coffee is like. Right. And then for my other friend, he commented about a month later. He says, yeah, Bert, hey, I got your article on that Hail Mary approach. He says, you know what? Funniest thing, I used to think that I'd see all these timber frames driving down the road. No, that looks good. And that looks good. Now I drive by and I say, look at those wimpy posts. That balance is way off. That's a daddy long legs. And so both people, after reading this one article, they learned to differentiate between poor coffee and good coffee. And that's kind of that waste, sworn enemies of ugly waste. Once people know about it and see what they can get for not an extravagant amount more, but what we can do for the whole punch of the value of the home and the enjoyment for living there, that's what we're about. And so that answers the question. I don't know. I kind of rambled a little bit there.
No, it answered the question perfectly. Thank you. And I'm pretty sure that our friends who want to know more about it and learn more about it, they will go and get the book, because I think that's the best way to understand your vision and to understand how your vision works. So
And for those interested, really, if you're going to do anything with exposed beams, post and beam, or timber framing, anything where you want to influence the decor, anything at all, and it's written for owners, so homeowners, for architects, and for builders. Really, it's cheap education for the price of a book. I mean, it's all about getting that right look and feel. There's some technical chapters, and in this new edition we're putting out, there's we've added more technical things, a little more on the history, like we spoke on here. Really a fun read, but themes have an outsized impact on what you're going to do. And so get it right, and everything else will be easier, from colors to lighting to textures, everything for that whole gestalt that you're trying to put together on this building process.
And I love how you connect everything to the person's personality. Because that's really interesting and unique. And I think it's also just reading this book it can be a self-discovery journey, because you may have the chance to find out things about yourself that you didn't know. So thank you so much, Bert. Where can we connect with you? And
well, you know, we're kind of, our team has done a good job in reaching out. A lot of people like Instagram for short photos. There's YouTube, Facebook. And of course, there's a real treasure trove on arrowtimber.com. There's a whole bunch of archived inspiration reports. You could literally read for a week going through the pages. That's where you can find us, arrowtimber.com.
And one last inspirational thought for 2021 from you.
So, you know, there's been a little bit of an epiphany for me this year. And in this context, I would say the gem of wisdom that I would want to give everyone is love your readers. Or you could say love your audience, or love the person you're communicating to. And it entails a lot. It sounds pithy, it sounds kind of short, but it means you first must understand yourself and have wisdom. Then you have to understand others and have empathy. And then you have to act and control your actions and your communications. And those three pieces right there, what could that cover? 30% of the self-help books out there? I don't know. It's a big topic.
Yeah.
Love your readers. That's what I would say.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bert.
Thank you, AJ.
Happy holidays, and
happy holidays all.
We'll hope to see you again next year.
Okay, very good.
Have a beautiful rest of the evening.
You bet. I love your horns. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And wow, I can't believe time went by so fast. We have another amazing guest. Her name is Amy Leah Murphy, and she's the author of Fine. And this is one of the most riveting and interesting young adult novel. Yes, I read this type of fiction too, that I've read in the past year, honestly. And she's a really special person. She loves writing about life-changing moments. She's a seasoned attorney by profession and a youth mentor by passion. And guess what? When she isn't working, she can be found dancing and singing in the car with the windows down. Well, I'm not so sure now that the weather is getting cold. And we are fortunate to have her with us today. Hi, and welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here with us today in this beautiful from the beautiful decor of your home.
Oh yeah, I tried to make sure it was festive for you. Although I wish I had some antlers. I like it. They're cute.
This is something that virtual reality can help us with for now. Just passing one thing from one another. I want to ask you this kind of the same question I started when I asked Dr. Janet when we started this event earlier today. What helped you get into the Christmas mode this year?
Well, to be honest, my kids did, because they just took off like a shot as soon as December hit. And, it's kind of a tradition for us to, close up Thanksgiving and then move right into the holidays. And they've really just kept the spirit alive despite all the chaos of 2020. So they've helped. And I was going to tell you actually about my my countdown. That's actually been helping me a lot too. I've been I've been doing this thing on social media because it has been a rough year. It's just 2020 is just, everyone's really eager to close it out. In fact, I got a Christmas card in the mail the other day and it said, "Best year never." That was so cute. was like, okay. But I was thinking, a lot of people do a countdown at the end of the year, an advent calendar or something where you poke through the day and then it pops out a chocolate, right? And I thought, how great. Why don't we have a dose of inspiration every day? Just something to help you either enjoy the holidays or just survive it. Because let's be honest, sometimes we just need to survive the moment. So that's been helping me because every day I've been coming up with something that I find really inspirational, helpful, just soothing, just something that really helps me feel okay. Sometimes great and sometimes just okay. And that's good.
And
so that's what
I know you're planning to share something special with us tonight.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know how many people know about my book, but Fine is a young adult mystery novel about a girl who's trying to find answers to what happened to her seemingly fine sister. And it deals with a lot of different issues that teenagers in particular, but everybody faces in this life. And as the title, kind of conveys, we all go about this life feeling like we're fine, everything's fine, even though, there's fires burning in the background. And so I felt like it was really important to kind of start by doing this countdown with things that would deal with some of these issues to make everyone feel a little bit more seen, a little more heard, a little more normal, like it's not just me. I'm not alone. Sometimes it's difficult to get through all this. So what I wanted to share was what I've been doing on my Facebook and my Instagram, which is the first 10 or 12 of the countdown ideas. So maybe if any of these sound fun to you, you can do it. I'm sure you're probably already doing some of them.
Okay, let's hear them.
Okay, ready? Here goes. So the first one is bring a little bit of nature inside. Obviously, I got a lot of nature going on with yes, it helps, right? I just feel like having that little bit of nature just connects us and grounds us to the season and to, just the natural cycles of life, right? And I think it's so important, especially, if you're having a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, during the holidays, it's just really nice to feel grounded and feel like just that you're part of something bigger and that, things are going to evolve and change and the world's going to keep turning and you're going to go with it and it's all going to be okay. So that was my first thing. And the second thing is, I don't know about you, but I love a hot beverage. It could be coffee, tea, cider.
Hot chocolate.
It's true. There's something about holding like that mug in your hands and sipping a little bit of warm, delicious liquid and just letting it fill you up and make you feel like, that was good. That was good. Unfortunately, I have water. I didn't think I had to bring my tea. I should have.
We imagine that's a beautiful Christmas mug with tea and, listening to you, I think I remember what my mom is always saying, like, it's the small things that makes such a huge difference and can make us happy.
It's so true, isn't it? And I think it's like, it's funny that song about comfort and joy this time of year, I think that's so it. It's so simple, but it's so true. All the comforts and joys of the season, like just feeling like everything is slowing down. Everything is just kind of a little quieter, a little more reflective, a little soothing. It's just such a beautiful time of year. So I feel like that comfort part is huge. So definitely the warm beverage, right? And, to go with that, one of the other ones I did was light a candle. It's funny because every culture, all over the world, everyone's always incorporated candles into so many traditions and religions. And I think it's beautiful, this symbol of light in the darkness, right? Yeah. And it's just, and it's come to mean so much more than that, right? It's comfort, it's romance, it's relaxation, it's all of those good, warm and fuzzy things that you want to feel. And it's also kind of a beautiful glimmer of hope and of what your faith in what's to come, and I love that. So I always think, when I light my candles, whether it's scented or just plain, I'm always thinking, I'd like that candle to mean something, even if it's just a little spark of joy, like I'm going to light this with intention and I'm going to enjoy it, So So
That's beautiful. I love it. Yeah, just light a candle and look at it as a spark of joy. When you feel down or you know like there's a lot on your mind, I think that can help. Thank you, Amelia. That's beautiful.
yeah. Well, so I have lots of these, let me tell you, because I put way too much thought into this, I think, but it's been helping me so much to have this kind of reflective, a kind of fun and exciting way to celebrate the season, no matter what your faith is, no matter whether you're having a great season or a not so great season, because, I'm a big proponent that it's okay to not be okay, right? It's okay if this isn't the best time of year for you. It's okay if you're a little down. And, that's still even more reason to me to kind of do the countdown all the way through to the 31st to just be okay, right? I mean, as much as we're not okay, I think deep down we have to remember that we're resilient, right? And that we can get through anything, even 2020, because one day it's going to be 2021, and one day COVID is going to be gone, and one day, things are going to look a lot different. So, I mean, for me, I'm all about just being in the moment and trying to kind of suck as much joy out of it as possible. But so the last couple of things I want to share, because I know we'll be here all night if I keep talking.
Yes, for sure. That wouldn't be a bad idea. But so I said last year we need to to make it longer.
Right? I'm sure, right? I know. And it's funny because I'm stuck in my head so much as a writer, right? I like to be in my head and writing. And then I realize when I open my mouth, all those words are still there. They just start coming out.
They need to come out, yeah.
They're just not on the page. They're now just floating through the air. But so the other couple of things I was going to say is, baking something that you don't, right? Not dinner, not cooking. I mean, baking something frivolous and fun. And so that way, if you burn it, throw it away. And if it's delightful, enjoy it. Even if it's just the smell that wafts through your room, or, the decorating of the little cookies, whatever it might be. It's such an easy, fun thing to do now that we're all kind of at home more. And it's fun. And you can try anything you want, and there's no pressure, which I love, because you don't have to eat it. You won't starve. You can just try a few things out. But and then the last thing I was gonna say is obviously, well, there's some more serious ones, but we'll keep it light for tonight. But I was gonna say obviously read a book, right? We're all such book lovers, and I was thinking this is a great time to really experiment with Christmas themed books, or books that you always wanted to read but you never did, and just picking that special book and putting it on your end table, and so when you have a quiet moment, or you take a quiet moment, even though you don't have many of them, you take it and you get that blanket out and you lay down and you're like, I can't wait to sink my teeth into this. I can't wait to see, just to be taken away to that experience. And I personally, I just love that feeling. And I'm even that way with children's books. I mean, from, classics all the way down to, the ones I read my 7-year-old. Some of those are so good this time of year. I was just thinking, there's The Spirit of Christmas by Nancy Tillman. There's Yes, Virginia, there's Santa Claus, and The Night Before Christmas. I mean, there's so many classics and different, seasonal things that are just so, I don't know, they're so delicious this time of year, and they just make you feel like a kid again. So I think even if you have 5 minutes, bring out those kids' books and feel like a kid again,
Yeah, totally. Bring back to life the kid, and let the kid enjoy whatever it is in the moment, and make this time of the year magical, because it is magical. So, and
I totally agree.
If you want to take a little break from the Christmassy stuff, then you can always go back to Amelia's book, Amelia's novel. Fine.
That's a good point. It is a page turner. So yeah, and I mean, I love this book so much. I really do. I think it's one of the books, to me, it's like the book that starts a conversation worth having. There's so much in there, and I just imagine you get done reading it and you just want to talk to somebody about it and be like, well, what did you think about this? Well, why did that? Oh. And I love when books do that. I love when books just spark a flame that just takes off. So hopefully you'll get your copy and let me know what you think about it.
Yeah, and leave, as I said, leave a review. What is the most exciting thing your readers said about your book? I know that there are many, but
I think one of the reviews made me cry, believe it or not, because it's an amazing thing to have someone just you put out a piece of your soul, in these pages. And when someone picks it up and just says, I see it and I get it. I got it exactly. And in one of the reviews, I can't remember exactly what it was, but the way they phrased, how important the messages in Fine were and how much they really impacted them, it made my year. It was just the best feeling in the whole world, because, there's been moments in my life where I've read a book and I've been like, it's like this person just came into my life just to tell me this one thing, this one quote that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life, or that one, just that moment. And I feel like, to be able to put something out like that into the world and have someone really receive it is the most beautiful gift in the whole world. So I can't remember exactly what it says. And if I could, I would quote it to you now, because it was so beautiful and I cried. So please leave me a review, because then I will cry. I mean, it's guaranteed. I'll just be bawling all through.
Make her cry with joy. Those are beautiful. Those are nice tears.
Yep.
Tears that writers love. So thank you so much, Emilia. Where can we find you? Where can we connect with you as readers and make you cry? No.
Yes. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook and on my website, which is amyleemurphy.com. So pretty easy to find me, and I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. And one is, I know you already gave us so many inspiration points for the holiday, but one last thought for 2021.
I think we're all in this together. We're all apart and we're all feeling the craziness of this moment in time. But at the end of the day, I think we really are in this together. And I think if we can remember that and be kind to one another and gentle with each other, I think that'll take us a long way. I think we'll look back on this time and, of course, we'll never say, let's do that again. But I think we'll look back and say, wow, we've gained so many beautiful gifts in this process that we couldn't have imagined. And I think if we just stick together, I think we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay.
Thank you. I agree. And having you here tonight is a beautiful gift. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is wonderful.
Of course. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy everything.
Happy everything.
Happy end of 2020, right?
Yeah, and a happy beginning of 2021. Thank you again, and see you again soon.
Yes. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so I think we are almost at the end of our party, and now I'd like to bring back the one and only Desiree Duffy, because I don't like being alone or being on the screen just by myself. And I have to say,
you're fabulous, whether you're by yourself or not.
Oh, thank you.
Bravo. Thank you. You did a fantastic job emceeing Jingle Books, AG.
Thank you, Desiree. I couldn't stop this out. I just loved each one of them. They were so amazing. They shared with us so many beautiful and interesting things. Each one of them was really special. So I hope our friends, and I know from the comments, they enjoyed them as much as we did here.
Yeah. There's a lot of conversations happening both on YouTube and on Facebook. And I just thank everybody for joining us. It's been fun. And remember, books make great gifts. Many of our authors have their books that are currently out. Not to mention, several of them are coming out in early 2021. And that's good to add to your TBR list, your to be read list for 2021. Every year, it's kind of one of those fun things to do, is to start your reading list for the next year. And speaking of fun things, I think it's ready to announce some winners. Yeah,
I have
we got them. And thank you to Bree for managing the contest and pulling the winners for us. Also, a big thanks to Sadi, too, for helping facilitate questions and monitoring the chat rooms. You guys have all been great. So, AG, take it away. Who's winning what?
Okay, so I will start with the mystery prize 1. And the winner is Monique. So I'm just reading the beginning of the email address. So we will contact you. Yeah. Mystery prize 2 is Carol Grace.
Bravo, bravo. Now, these mystery prizes are wrapped books
Mm-hmm.
and his elves themselves. We don't even know what they are.
Yeah, we don't know. No.
No idea.
So we have another mystery, and we won't give away the name of the elves, although we know the name of the elves, but we won't say those names out loud today. So mystery prize number 3 goes to Marcus. Yay! Congratulations! I think they can't wait to find out who is the winner of the Rice Brew.
That stuff is so good.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
it's
wish-
cold brewed coffee is just amazing. Mhm.
Oh, so we were talking with Bert about coffee. I know I should have said shoes, but it didn't come to me. That's very much. So here we have a gentleman or a lady, D Glitter. So D Glitter, yay!
Yay, you're very
Congratulations.
special.
And next, the $25 gift card, Amazon gift card, goes to J. Rosenblum.
Congratulations.
Yay! And now I wish I had a drum to roll it.
I can try.
And the grand prize goes to Courtney.
Woo! Courtney, congratulations.
So all of you will be emailed, and you have 48 hours to claim. And we have a big number of entries. So thank you for all of you who entered the giveaway, who are here with us tonight. Thank you, Desiree Duffy, for an amazing evening, for being the heart and soul of Black Chateau and of this wonderful community that's built around books that make you and Black Chateau.
Oh, thank you, AG. And again, thank you for everybody who participated, all of the fans and people that were watching and commenting in the chat rooms. It was a lot of fun, and the entire team did a great job. And just remember, everybody, time of year where you curl up by the fireplace with the hot cup of coffee or chocolate or tea and just enjoy a book. We're going to get into 2021. We're going to get through this. And just please enjoy all of the books that make you exactly who you are. That's what it's all about.
And I don't think I have anything today to say other than enjoy this time of the year, and enjoy the company of your dear ones, of your loved ones who are with you. And let's envision all of us a 2021 that is going to be better, merrier, healthier, just a place where we come together as one, and we support each other and we love each other.
You got it. You got it. And we'll be back next year.
For sure.
Number 5 will happen in 2021. And don't forget, Books That Make You has so much good stuff going on. Check out the website. Follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. We have the Books That Make You show. And we're always bringing you all year round authors and wonderful books. So please stay with our community. Join us, follow us, join our email list. We're always sending out the latest book news and giving you chances to win other books and prizes. So yeah, until next time, everybody, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.